Welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. Today we're here with Male Vocalist of the Year nominee and Album of the Year nominee for his album Thank You Kindly. Royce Johns joins the podcast. Royce, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. Well, we got to meet briefly at the MCMO Awards, but for myself and all of our listeners, why don't you tell us who is Royce Johns?
My name is Royce Johns Schweinebart. I go as Royce Johns for obvious reasons, pretty simple. But I've been playing music for, this will be my 10th year now, and I've made a couple records of other people's songs and co-writes, and then this is my first record that I wrote all the songs on, and I play about 100 to 150 shows a year out of the trunk of my Lincoln Town Car. So
nice. So yeah, you're a full-time musician. You said you got a wife and kids at home, I know, as well. So
yes,
why don't we dig in there? I'm a father myself, also now full-time in the music business. Can you kind of speak to maybe the benefits first, and then we'll kind of get into the challenges, but can you speak to the benefits of being someone who maybe only works 150 days a year outside of the home?
Well, it's definitely it's hard to describe because it's not the same as like, a normal job where you have hours and whatnot. Some people, I've heard the jokes like, well, you only got to play a 2 or 3 hour show, but it's like, you got to drive 5 hours to get there, or, there's a lot of prep time around that,
And nobody counts the 10,000 hours, they say it takes to perfect your instrument, right? We get no credit for that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, beyond that, forget all like the practice and rehearsal, you do in the early days to even get off the ground, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of mental preparation. You're just getting in front of people, and you're, a buddy of mine, he's an older musician. He compared it to, it's like a painter goes out and paints a painting and they're done, and people can see their art, but like when you're a musician, you have to recreate your art every night, and it's true. And you're only as good as your last gig. So, it's just kind of a lot of like subliminal pressure, even if it's not like even being nervous, it's just, you just have to perform, and you gotta be warm to people, and even if you're not in that headspace, you just gotta shake a lot of hands and be around a lot of people, even if you're tired or whatever. It's just, it's a job like anything else. So
Royce, and you kind of hit on something there that I've been describing in this way, and tell me if it resonates with you. We don't do music for a living. We are living musicians.
I think about that, but yeah, I mean, it's
because it's just like you said, we have to create our art every time. I came up as a teenager, my late teens. I kind of read Kerouac at 18 and was like, South Dakota ain't for me. I'm heading west. I put the guitar on my back and went out, and I survived busking. I was playing on the street whenever I got hungry. Throw the case down, play some songs, sing my heart out. There was dinner, right? And then that grew to much more than dinner in some places, right? Venice Beach did very well. Now, granted, a much more dangerous and expensive place to be working. But that's where I learned the value in what I was doing. That's what gave me the confidence to go, well, if I can go make $300 playing on the beach with no guarantee that I was going to make a penny, then I should be able to ask for at least $100, right? And then over the last 20 years, having that number's grown significantly. But yeah, it's a challenge, right? And there's definitely the pressure when you're doing it, and then you got little ones to support as well, and the wife at home, and the pressures that come with that, and being a provider for a family. Definitely there's an undercurrent to it that I think has taken a lot of people out. It takes a special person to be able to ride that current, because inevitably there's going to be ebbs and flows in our careers. Can you have you experienced some lower times and times when you were very, very high and things seemed like they were going very well, or maybe you're in the middle of that right now?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. You know, I can't tell you how many times I thought about just being done, you know, or just not having it be my source of income anymore. You know, just being like, hey, I'm gonna write a song or sing songs when I want to. You know, I never quit. There's times I love it, and there's other times it is quite a job. But you know, because majority of a lot of gigs I'm doing now are, you know, these entertainment cover gigs. I would say during 2020 was probably the lowest point, you know, because I just made a record, and you know, I had higher hopes for it, you know, like on a regional level, just be able to. I had a band together at the time, you know. I just put a band together in 2019, you know, some really good players, like these guys have been playing forever. We had a fiddle and steel, you know, country group, and it, you know, we were doing like live film stuff, you know, and I had a lot of content in the can from, you know, early 2019, late 2019. You can just imagine how silly that is. You know, you have a record, you just 10, 11 song record you just completed, and you know, so
The
it's
most horrific timing ever.
Yeah. I mean, I finished it. Like we were in the studio. I remember, I got to open for Sammy Kershaw March 15th. I'll never forget that. And we were at Meskwaki, and he wasn't shaking anybody's hands, and he's kind of coughing. And I was like, oh man, he's probably sick, you know. And everybody. It was right before everything was just like, you know,
like 2 days later, the whole world shut down.
Right. And I had a record in the can we just finished. So I wound up releasing it November of 2020, flop, you know, and then the distributor that we used, Intercept Music, we had a year deal with them, and it just didn't perform well. So it got pulled from the you know, anyway, it not pulled, but it just kind of expired, and I never re-released it. And then I made this new record. But yeah, that was probably one of the lowest points.
Where's that album, Royce?
It's on a flash drive.
And now, you know. So is that tied up in some kind of record deal that you're not able to access it, or?
No, I own it. It was half cup. The concept was half. Every other song was like a cover of like a song, you know, that influenced me, and then original either by it was like a co-write with me and
I love that concept.
Other writers.
I love that. So
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've grown from doing that to I want to do original stuff.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that's kind of a time? I mean, is that album out there? Like, is it on Spotify and still out breathing in the world, or is it completely offline?
It's off.
Don't you think that fans of yours would appreciate being able to kind of look at that time capsule, though, of this was Royce, and especially given the time period that it comes from? I mean, that was kind of like, you know, it's I don't even know. It was like a different world, right? I mean, everything pre-COVID feels like a totally different life timeline completely.
Yeah. No,
I would be interested on a personal level of hearing at the very least, the originals, right? I mean, to have that out there. I realize that we've grown, but the way I look at music, and I have, as an artist, I have an album I did with, you know, some guys out in Western South Dakota in 2010, and, you know, something that we just kind of rushed through, and at the end I wasn't very happy with the product. So I haven't really shared that with anybody, but I realized more recently, as it kind of turned 15 years old, right, or just about, that that it has a place in my story still. You know, those songs, which are all being redone now because I own all my stuff and I can do whatever I want to come back out. So maybe something to think about. Don't hide your art, Royce.
No, I don't disagree to that extent. You know, one of these days I think I'm gonna put it back out there. It was just the timing of it, because it got our deal expired right about the time that I finished my new album. So I didn't want to like re-release it during the same time that I was just
Right.
releasing a record.
Right.
So yeah, maybe in a few years, if I'm not working on another project, it might just be something I'll throw out again.
Some deep cuts.
I mean, and I don't know. It's just not. I guess it doesn't represent what I'm trying to do now.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and there's that too, right? Right.
You know, it's more neo-traditional commercial.
Did you
country
work
with,
now you said you worked on the release with someone, but did you work on the album? Was there influence from outside on the album itself, or just in the distribution of it?
What do you mean influence?
Oh, I just mean, like, was it a record deal that you signed that you did this under, or did you record it all independently and then you just had someone that was helping you distribute it?
I did it all independently, and honestly, I should have just released it myself. It was a startup company that apparently there were some connected people in, was the story I was told. And I talked to the guy that made it, and you know, they had like a deal with Ingroves and the Orchard at one point. And the promise of it was, rather than me paying for release myself, which is nothing, it's like $50 or $100, which they're like, we'll pay for that. And I'm like, okay. But the perk was that it's going to be in front of some different people, some Nashville people, you know, way back then. And back then, you know, I was kind of still, you know, going for a couple things. And I was like, you know what, why not? You know, the last two things prior to that, I did myself. And the second one did really well. And I still, you know, have control of that. But I don't know. It was on a recommendation of a friend of mine that owned the studio that we did it at, and he knew somebody in that camp. And anyway, it just wasn't. I don't know. The world was everything was so up in the air, you know.
Right, and
it's, you know,
the timing.
It's not like they're. What was that?
The timing couldn't have been worse. I mean, that definitely plays something into the whole thing. But yeah, new businesses, and they were probably trying to figure it out, and they, you know, also the timing for them is terrible too. So, well, we moved on though. You got a new album you released last August. It was nominated for Album of the Year. You were nominated for Male Vocalist of the Year as well at the Midwest Country Music Organization Awards show in Okoboji last weekend. You didn't win, but speak about just the honor of being nominated.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't really like believe in any like competition-based value with like art in general. But what I do like about the CMO is that it's just a gathering. You get to meet some people you've never met, and it's a hang. You know, you get to you know, like, since I'm running around all the time, and you know, I've never met Corey Waller and them, and it was really fun meeting him in his camp, you know, of folks. So to me, that was the cool part and the value. I mean, the awards part's just, it's you know, it's an internet vote competition, you know, it's not.
Well, but it's a little bit different. I mean, the nomination process is open for anyone to be nominated, and then your selection is narrowed down, right? But it's voted on by us members ourselves, right? So, so that's, I think it's less of a competition and more of a recognition, right? I feel like, and especially for me, if I ever do get bestowed the honor, I'm not there to take that trophy. I don't need a stack of trophies. I would love to have one, right? To have one is fine, but I don't need it every year. And I know that several of the people who have won it multiple years have been like, yeah, we're not putting ourselves in the running anymore. And I think that speaks to the quality of people that you have in the organization, right? And it's more of a recognition-based thing like that, right? We're all kind of voting for our friends, and fun for you, you know, that when you release an album that it has the chance to be recognized as that. And then who knows that recognition helps you book one more big show the following year, right? Because you have that name attached to you because your friends decided you deserve the recognition this year, right? I guess that's what I find cool about the awards show and the way that it's designed.
Yeah, no, it's good promotion. I'm not Yeah, I agree in that fashion. Man. I think
But you
it's
hit
good
on,
advertisement.
well, and you hit on the networking portion of it, right? I mean, yeah, to win the award,
Yeah,
to be nominated and stuff, the way I see it is it's all resume material, right? For me, that's on to
yeah,
Chell, especially as we're all trying to travel further and further from home and do this for a living. You need those resume hits. If you're not, and most people don't even know what the Midwest Country Music Organization is, right? But the fact that you can say, hey, I was nominated for this award, they're like, oh, well, then you must be worthy of said dollar amount or said opportunity or said thing, right? So it's cool to be a
yeah.
member of a group that is kind of doing that for all of us. And yeah, are you a relatively new member, or you have you been around for a little bit?
I joined this year. Oh man, I think they contacted me almost like 4 years ago. I think it was like 2018, 2019, and I didn't join then. But my buddy Robert Deitch joined, I think, a year or two ago, and he just kind of changed my mind on it in general. Because like I said, I'm not a big fan of like any awards or like music competition, like Battle of the Bands. I don't have any. I just never liked. I've done them, and I just never liked the ideas anyway. But Robert, he's like, hey, it's more of a get together, and you're gonna meet some of these musicians that you've never met before. And I went, man, and everybody was really nice, and it was a cool hang. I got to see, some of my friends that I don't get to see because I'm running around like chicken with my head cut off most of the time. Um, and it was a well put together event. They're just like the flow of the night was really, really put together well. Um, they did a good job, and it's, the cool part is it is all volunteers. It's not a for-profit thing. And that's something I commend them for. It's not like they're trying to make money off the idea. They're just trying to do it again and make it better every year.
Right.
And it's like they're doing the best they can, and they're doing something. And I guess that's, and they're trying to better it every year, and that's really cool. And the other major benefit that I kind of thought about the other day was that, to be a member, it costs $50, which is nothing, right? It's basically just it's throwing a chip in the bucket so they can throw the night, which is really cool. But like if you get 10 radio airplays from that, I don't know if you ever spent money on like radio promo or
Yeah.
in like the
I produce
Nashville
shows
world.
out here too, buddy. Yeah, just to get
Okay.
not even getting a song on, but just to get advertising on. Not cheap.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you can spend on tier 2 radio, not like your Nash FM, but like everything below that. I mean, a campaign is for like 6 weeks, like $5,000, or was back in 2018, 19. I don't know what it is now. I guess it was like $3,000 to $5,000 back then, depending on who you hire. And it's like, dude, you could get 4 plays out of that, And I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. They put something together. Really, if it just was a radio promo company, if that was the only benefit, I think it's worth all that and more, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool pieces to it,
Well, and
I think
I believe that the actualization of what it can be, we haven't even gotten there yet, right? Like it's still growing. Right. It's a relatively new organization as well, and really is just, I think it's starting to hit a stride now. I'm definitely going to facilitate a lot more members from South Dakota because I believe in what the organization does and what they provide and what value that other people can bring to it, right? I myself know that I bring a lot of value to an organization like this because I am a booker, a promoter, a podcaster, a performer, right? I can do all of the things in the entertainment business that can help every single member of the organization, right? But everyone else has something they can contribute as well, and maybe we just don't know that yet. Maybe there's something Royce Johns does better than everyone else in the organization, and then you kind of find that and get to, hone those skills and bring that to add value to the organization. And that's something Lee Klett and I, who won the Ambassador Award, we just got off the phone right before I called you. And that's what we talked about, is what can you bring to the organization that brings value to everyone else, and then you're going to get that value back 10 times just because that's the nature of the organization, right? So yeah, my email's full right now of guys and gals just like you, Royce, that want to talk music, want to get themselves out there, want to share their songs with us, and I love it. It's keeping me busy and advancing my career, but it's also helping you and everyone else to have more content and advance your career and let people get to know you too. So yeah, mutually beneficial arrangements.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how much money I've spent in Nashville just on like, in the early days of artist promotion, jive that didn't do anything. And it's like, this is kind of what I always asked for. It was like, well, what are we really doing? And I think the cool part isn't even today. It's like, if this keeps going and it gets better if they continue to try and make it better every year, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, like what artists will it bring in? Like I'm 28 years old, dude. And it's like, I started playing when I was 19, and it's like, there's going to be in 10 years, there's going to be a 19-year-old kid that doesn't have any direction of like, where do I even start? How do I even like play a couple gigs, and I'm not like, national hotshot or anything. I mean, there's guys in Nashville that if they listen to me talk like this, they'd laugh because they have a real idea what's going on. But like, for my small pond that I do, I know a couple people, and if I can help, a younger kid get started, I think that's what it's all about.
Well, you got the right heart for the organization, Royce, for sure. Because that's exactly what we want to do. And you have the same vision. I'm 38 or will be 38 on Monday. So I got another 10 years in the business, and don't disrespect yourself. You're a veteran of the music business, right? And whether you've played stadiums or you've played dive bars, I don't find it any different. I look at guys like Jelly Roll, and we're the same, man. We all came from the same spot. And by some strokes of luck and talent and all of those things put together, you've broken through and have achieved that, but we're the same, brother. And a really fun thing is he's taken Alexander K on the road this year. And Alexander K is a prime example of what an independent musician looks like, and someone who has cracked through and keeps doing those things right. She could have been a member of this organization, right? And she still could be. And that's what you mean. You don't know who it's going to bring in. And really, we're just starting our own thing because nobody else was doing it for us. You're talking a lot about Nashville. Do you live down there, or did you live down there at some point?
No, I've been there half a dozen times. I've never lived there. I'm not claiming to no, I've just dealt with a handful of people down there. And,
right. So where
you spent a lot of money down there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what we're trying to build is, hey man, you don't have to go down there and do all those things. Yes, the connections are nice and stuff, and they all sell you on a shiny thing, and you're going to make it, kid. But ultimately, where did all that money get you? Where I see the value in coming out here, and Royce, I'd love to bring you out to South Dakota. We got all kinds of gigs and stuff. We'd love to have you out here. Your country sound, your old school sound, people would love it, right? They would eat it up.
I'd go, man. I mean, you're hopping a skip. You're about what, 3.5 hours?
Yeah. So where are you based out of?
Iowa.
Okay, you're Central Iowa. Okay,
north of Des Moines, just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, we're not far away, man, and we're really trying to be a term I use a lot now, a link in the chain. I got connections all the way out to the western side of South Dakota too, right? So we're trying to get more members and those and more of these clubs and everybody to kind of buy into what we're doing. And it started small. I think the organization is maybe 8 years old or something, they said. And it really feels like it's hitting a stride right now, Royce. I'm glad you're a part of it. We're new members, and it's up to us to kind of help it keep growing, right? Brad Morgan was a big deal, a big reason why I joined, and I know he's been a reason why a lot of other people have joined, especially in Iowa, specifically, being his home state. And I kind of plan on being a spokesman for South Dakotans and South Dakota musicians to say, hey, man, there's this great organization that gives us an umbrella over the whole Midwest region, and we don't need to go to Nashville. Have you listened to Samuel John? Do you know Samuel John Band at all? So they're members as well. You'll have to check out an episode of Love Noise, which is our other show here on the network. And he's got a song called Set Me Free, and the whole thing is, kind of I don't need to go to Nashville to make it. I need a room and a dive bar, and I'm good, right? As long as there's people listening to me, I'm good. And it's just a cool theme. And I think it echoed with me, and I'm sure it does with you and pretty much every member of the organization.
Yeah, no, I think in today, I mean, especially past COVID, like you go to Nashville and like the creative side of it is a ghost town. Even like the old guard writers that I know that have written number ones in the 70s through 90s, 2000s, they're like, if you move here to be a writer and you're not playing the artist card at the same time, you're wasting your time. And the other thing too, it's like, even if you want to play the artist card, I haven't listened to that like FM radio pretty much since 2017, 2018. I kind of checked out, man. And music isn't being, I know, not think I know, like Sierra Farrell's not on Nash FM. Sturgill Simpson's not on Nash FM. Charlie Crockett's not on Nash FM.
Crazy,
and
right?
It's insane. And they're the real vagabonds, and they're the real, I mean, someday we're gonna look back at like they were the Waylon Willie Jesse Coulter, right? And
exactly.
That's the music that people are gonna gravitate towards, and it's the timeless stuff. And then there's gonna be all that '70s Nashville like country pop and '60s pop that faded away, and that's what's being played on the radio today, man. And I mean the majority of it, it's just like it's kind of I feel like I'm in an episode of the Twilight Zone sometimes when I listen to if I'm in a car and I just happen to the FM radio pops on and I'm listening to it. It's like it's the same stuff since about 2011. They haven't even changed. Like it's like I feel like it's a joke. I feel like they're trying to like anyway.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
It's weird. It's weird. It doesn't even like it's not. There's nothing heartfelt. Mostly. There's
right.
nothing heartfelt.
It's music
about it. And
just made to be background music, really, and to get stuck
it's
in your
between
head
ads. It's music.
Right.
It's music to be. It's made
to keep you listening.
In between the ads, that's all their format is, and it's like once I kind of dove into it after about 2018, 2019, I started figuring out like, well, and you have to move down there, and you got to live down there, and you got to shake a lot of hands, and you got to get in line. And you got to put your life on hold for an opportunity that may not present itself. And even if you do get that opportunity, it's not really what you want by the time you get there. And I decided to, anchor down here, man. I had my first kid in 2020 and, I made up my mind and damn me, I guess, but I'm going to make records that I like and it's going to be the quality that I want. And if it isn't, I'm not going to release it. And if 20 people listen to it, great. If 50,000 people listen to it, awesome. It doesn't, I'm going to work hard to promote it. I'm going to do my best, but if I'm not proud of it, I'm not going to put it out. So.
I love it. Yeah. And that's great. And that's really what I'm getting to in my career. Like I said, I kind of released an album years ago that I just wasn't kind of proud of and let it fade away. And I was like, this time around, I don't want to do that. I want everything that I release to be something to stand that my kids can look back on and go, that's my dad, right? When they're showing their grandkids, right? And maybe great grandkids, if there's still music, and is exactly why I want to make sure that at least I press my one copy of vinyls, right? To have all of my songs, and maybe I do a greatest hits where I just press it all, but then to have that physical copy that can be played on any, you know what I mean? And still have that. Yeah. Great conversation, Royce. I really love digging into everything that you are and that you represent in music. I think you're on a great path, man. We're definitely going to get you out into South Dakota. They're going to love you out here, brother.
Don't guarantee that yet.
Yeah, no, I know our people out here, man. We love good people, and you're great people. I had a pleasure, just meeting and speaking with you. I did get to watch you perform at the show. You're great. You got an awesome old school sound. Not a lot of people bringing that to the table. A few of the people that you mentioned in the podcast, your Charlie Crockett's and those things. And yeah, I think you're right. And I think the advent of the internet, shows like this, and obviously many others that are much bigger than our little show and our little organization, but we're the ones making it happen. And it's a commitment to being fiercely independent, just like you are. That's going to make it all happen for us. So thanks for being on the show, Royce. You got anything you want to plug on the way out?
No, besides, I have my new record, newer, I guess. It came out in August, and check it out. It's called Thank You Kindly. 10 songs on it. So
That's great. Well, we're going to have you send one of those in. We're going to put it on an episode of Love Noise, which is our review show where we just kind of tell a little bit about you, listen to your song, and then talk about all the things that we loved about it. So we'll have you send one of those in, and I can't wait to get you out to South Dakota for a show.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate the call.
Awesome. That was Royce Johns. Thank you for listening. Remember to go to patreon.com/thescenesd. Follow us on all your social media channels and make yourself part of The Scene.